It is October 2000. We've survived Y2K, but Hobbit fever is just around the corner as Peter Jackson adds the final touches to the Fellowship of the Ring. Anastasia donned tiny orange glasses to protect her eyes from the blazing success of I'm Outta Love, the biggest song of the year. Spirits were high and the time was right for TV3 to launch a competition that still baffles everyone who remembers it a quarter century on. Join us as we remember when we stuck Tellydots on our tellies. Or did we?
What?
Kia ora koutou, welcome back to Remember When. This is your weekly pop culture podcast in Aotearoa. My name is Alex Casey. I'm joined by two people who are ironically both stuck to the corner of my screen, just like a Tellydot themselves. Jane Yee and Duncan Grieve. Welcome.
Hi, Alex. This is going to be a real ride because I do not remember when.
I think I also don't remember when, but I feel like my excuse is that I turned 21 in October of the year 2000.
Wow.
And I was basically underneath a 30 box of Lion Red cans the whole time. So
Wait, what did you do for your
fine.
21st and was I there?
You surely were there.
Surely I was there.
So you were not watching Home Improvement, sticking things to the corner of your TVs while doing a yardie?
It's one of the great regrets of my youth is the lack of dottage.
Can I just interrupt to give a little bit of another tidbit? In October 2000, I was born.
Happy Tellydot
gosh.
birthday, Samuel. That's Samuel, by the way, our producer.
Much.
Buried the lead there. But yes, this is kind of an avant-garde take on the format because I don't actually remember this either. But the reason this is kind of, there was a sense of urgency around Tellydots because it was something that was a huge conversation topic in the Real Pod Corner, our beloved Facebook group led by our Mayor Wayne Lewis, who remembers it well. And the Spinoff's own Tara Ward, our fantastic TV writer, has been piecing together this deep dive investigation into Tellydots, what they were, if they worked. Hopefully, when this is out, you should be able to read it. And I just want to thank her because she's provided the entirety of the information that I am about to tell you today. Before we go on, do we just want to talk about, Duncan, you obviously having your 21st, with Wizard staff, etc. But what were we doing in the year 2000 and what television were you watching?
Year 2000, that was my last year at university. And funnily, when you talk about dots, it was my first ever broadcasting job was in 2000 for a radio station called The Dot, which was an alternative radio station called 96.1, run out of what was then the radio network, which is now NZME. But I don't remember the Tellydots. And I feel like this might be a problem going forward with Remember When, that it doesn't mean I didn't experience them at the time. It's just that I'm a little bit old and I've had to make space in my brain for new memories, and I've cherry picked which memories that I've retained, and I may well have stuck a dot on my telly. I just can't really recall. When you sent through some of the photos, I was like, it's ringing a kind of a bell.
Yeah, it's like a half bell. The other thing, the other big thing, much bigger thing to be honest, is that Jet P. Hammer, my beloved eldest daughter, was also born in October 2000.
Wow.
So huge month for me, and yet the more we talk about it, the more there are these sort of vague, like it's like an alarm in a building 2 or 3 streets away. It's still perceptible.
Yeah.
But it's not really. I'm not fleeing the building.
Well, I do think this is something we should explore with Remember When, is those pop culture black holes as well, because I also think, not to get too off track, but I think New Zealand Idol season 3 also sits in there, where there's just like these moments that happened. We were all there for it. We were all watching TV, but only a chosen few, for whatever reason, remember it. I was 9. I feel like I'm always 9.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not good at maths. I kind of always been 9, but I think I was still 9 when this happened. Obviously watched a lot of TV. WNTV, of course. What now?
You would have been
Real
right.
Play Charts.
You would have been right in the Home Improvement demo.
Well,
there.
exactly. It was like the dream run. The dream run when you're that age is the Home Improvement, the Friends, the Simpsons before dinner, and just cramming it all in and getting so excited. And yet, I've got nothing either. So let me tell you a little bit about what it was. So it was late 2000. TV3 launched this massive promotion called Tellydots. They released 5 million of them.
Whoa.
Around the country to go in retailers. I think it was KFC, BP, and I think you could get them in the TV guide too.
Absolutely wild. Absolutely wild that I missed that, considering how much I frequented BP's and KFC's back then.
You really did, though. That's crazy. Like you sitting in a car at a pre or post a gas station was a huge part of your culture at the time.
I used to do this awful thing where someone would go in to buy something like a Kit Kat or whatever, a Tellydot, and I would drive off on my friends because I was always the driver, and so I used to do this insane power trip where I would as a gag just drive off and then come back 30 seconds later. But anyway,
that's why they're
aside.
not sharing their Tellydots with you.
Maybe that's why.
They want them all for themselves. So there's a press release from the time. Next week, TV3 will launch Tellydots, a promotion which uses new technology that allows marketers to check whether their ads are being watched. Retailers BP, fast food restaurant brands, and TV Guide will trial the technology, which has not yet been used on English-speaking TV anywhere in the world. So they were there's almost the size of a 50-cent coin, actually quite reminiscent of a Tazo, if anyone here remembers Tazos. Shit. Samuel, do you remember Tazos?
Absolutely not.
Oh
This is
my God.
amazing.
Remember when Tazos, but also remember when the 50-cent coin was a lot more chunky.
Yeah, I do. I remember that.
Because that's the size we're talking, a decent, a decent thing on the corner of your screen. And so the idea was that you would stick it on your screen, it would collect some sort of data, which we'll talk about soon. You'd send it in for the chance to win one of 2 Holden Barinas, one of 20 portable Panasonic CD players, a Club Med holiday, or a grand total prize of $333,333.
That's a lot of money.
That's a
a lot of money today. That's an
Buy a
insane
whole
amount of money.
street
back then.
worth of mouldy villas for that back in the day.
Very TV3.
But, well, yeah, the other thing that's really buzzy about it is that they're so brazenly saying this is about getting efficient data around our marketing, promotions, and everyone's like, oh, hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So the idea was that during certain shows, including Home Improvement, a Tellydot logo would pop up in the corner of the screen and you would have to hastily peel off the Tellydot, stick it on, and then somehow within the dot there was a piece of film that was activated. Now, this is where we get into, I don't know what the hell's going on. Activated by a certain kind of light that would then record on the film that could prove whether you had watched the entire program, including ads, or not.
I don't believe this. I do not believe this technology existed. I don't believe this technology exists
this
now.
feels aspirational for us now. Like this is like nuclear fusion, where we can dream about it. It's theoretically possible. It can't have been actualized and distributed, with our giant TVs. Not giant in terms of the size of the screen, just the ones that are about 3 feet behind them.
Are we talking about tiny computers, 5 million tiny little computers, or are we talking about and I feel like this is probably more true, a little bit of litmus paper or something, the kind of light activated equivalent where it just leaves a little stain on the paper, but that won't give them the sort of information about how much you've watched. All it would show is if a piece of paper had changed colour.
Exactly. There was a lot of, I'll get into it later, but there was actually quite a few conspiracies around the dots that went global, around what they were recording and why, and what the technology actually was. But by all accounts, it appears to just be a little bit of something sort of film that once exposed to light changes colour. But the instruction came with it, do not change the channel while the Tellydot is stuck on the TV. It will interrupt the transmission, the transmission, sorry. The Tellydot will not work.
It's not true, right? That's not true.
Genius
That's just their way
from
of making
TV3.
sure you're watching.
It's such a cool renegade channel, eh? Like they launched with merch, so you get TV3 like gym bags, and
they're still doing that until very recently. I got one of my cousins worked there and gave me this beautiful beach bag, beautiful TV3 beach bag, like 3 years ago. But it was being trialed in New Zealand. It had gone around Europe. It was Hungarian technology. And around the same time that it arrived here, they also had it in Australia, launched as an a dot kind of promo, which we have an ad for, which we can enjoy now.
When you purchase fuel at any BP service station and spend $5 in the store, you can adopt a dot, power them up on Channel 7. Return them to BP and watch 7 for prize draws.
Adopt a dot today.
Wow, tells us nothing.
So interesting, right? Like, you watch the ad and you have I feel like I know less now.
No, I know.
About
You've actually taken information away that we've already talked about. And we're a blank slate. We're in the negative.
What's funny about the promo is they've decided to like personify the dot in this moment, and now it becomes something that you kind of care for, like a Tamagotchi or something. But again, sheds no light on what the hell is actually going on inside the dot, which is possibly why there was actually quite a lot of controversy about Tellydots, not just in New Zealand, but around the world. Tara found this incredible article about the Tellydot saga in Germany, where it was called Dotwin. So they released 50 million Dotwins across Germany. And this author, Torstein Kleins, wrote an article called The Dotwin Conspiracy, in which an anonymous source revealed to him that the inside of the 38mm cardboard cycle contains a quote-unquote mysterious controller called CC128A4. The miraculous chip would record not only the sound of the program where the dot would be glued, but also the voice of viewers around the television.
This is what I was worried about.
None of this can be true.
The author continued, these hooded creatures have only one purpose, to spy.
Hooded creatures.
But to be clear, the Dotwin makers quickly came out and said Dotwin does not contain a chip. Anyone who wants to be sure can easily verify this by disassembling Dotwin into its individual components. And then a separate German newspaper cut into it with a kitchen knife and found a cardboard layer, aluminium foil, and a pink layer of film. So there was no chip.
It took someone to release a massive thesis on this conspiracy theory before someone took to it with a craft knife, which is beyond, like, surely any journalist with their soul is doing that the moment they pick up a dot on the very first day.
The thing that it strikes me as a kind of a forerunner to the the COVID vaccine contains sort of nanoparticle chips that are monitoring your every move kind of thing. But at least back then, like the disproof was, like technology was so cute and Gumby that you could do it with a craft knife. Now, the whole point is that it's so tiny that it can never be disproven.
I don't know. It can be disproven with like common sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's that.
Can you imagine if TVNZ tried to do Dotwin now? Like, there would be, Parliament would burn.
or would it, I just don't think TV has that power at all. I just don't think people are paying attention. In fact, controversial fold-esque take, I'm just not, I think that they definitely don't want to know whether you're watching TV because most likely they're
not going to like what they hear.
TV might be on. But yeah, you don't want that data anymore. Like back then, we had nothing.
But they were really relying on people's gullibility too with that whole don't change the channel thing, because obviously the technology was extremely simple. It was just about exposing some film to some light, and it wouldn't have mattered what channel you were on. But that was a kind of way of just ensuring that you did watch, was to threaten you with the fact you might ruin the dot's integrity and therefore not win a prize if you changed the channel.
And did they? Surely they didn't check. Like, there's no just giant sort of 10 football field size factory full of like people just running some test over these dots that they got sent in. Millions and millions of them. Like, it didn't. The most basic kind of sense check would have revealed that nothing about this can be real, and yet by the sounds of it, it gripped a nation.
Do you know what would have happened in the wake of this? Is someone went, hey, I know like you've made all these dots and that's great and it cost us bazillions of dollars to do it and it's cool because it got people watching, but what about if we just stuck a graphic up on screen like 5 times throughout the course of a show and be like, you have to put together the secret combo of words and just write that on a piece of paper and drop it into your BP? Because it's the same thing.
They couldn't. They needed the glue. They needed
What
the
kind
stick.
of glue? What kind of adhesive are
Well,
we talking?
What I found, so yes, it captured the nation, but there were some naysayers locally. Tara, found some forums where people questioned the validity of it. A lot of people complained about the gluey residue left on the TV.
No.
Of course.
Is this Geek Zone? Is that where the forums are?
It might have been like, I think it was actually like a Google group, would you believe it, from 2000.
Right.
There's also some stuff I think on, oh no, Reddit wasn't around, was it? So people remembering from Reddit times. But there was also talk of school kids who figured out that you could actually microwave the Tellydots and activate the film that way.
Oh.
And there were people sharing hacks and stuff. So a lot of people were like, I just simply pop the Tellydot on, put the TV on mute, and go about my business.
I mean, it feels to me like you just take the back off the Tellydot sticker and that does the job. That it's all smoke and mirrors. It's just to get you to think that you have to watch this show.
There was a local critic, Peter Calder, wrote for the New Zealand Herald. I have this image of a home viewer on their hands and knees in front of the glaring tube, squinting and grunting as he or she attempts to adhere the infernal device.
Oh, I love Peter Calder.
Oh, that's
He's
really
a great
dramatic.
critic.
It's not that hard to stick something to something.
I know. The pose, worse than undignified, is astonishingly suggestive of the relationship between television channels and their audiences. This interaction looks suspiciously like submission or cargo cult worship even. That we should participate so actively in our own capture would be funny if it were not so sad.
Oh, Peter, social media's coming, mate.
I know, he doesn't know.
Peter Calder was a theatre critic, and actually, I think a really good one. He wrote this great piece a few years later defending the role of the critic in the face of an onslaught from Oliver Driver, who was basically just saying critics are there to boost the local industry, and Peter Calder very eloquently defended it. I don't know if his Tellydots piece, has stood the test of time in quite the same way.
It does telling though in that what you've just read, Alex, about people being on their hands and knees, and I'm like, why would people? But of course, because we have these massive tube tellies, and they were sitting on these low little stands that, to reach the bottom corner of your screen, you're going to have to get either on hands and knees or bend over quite a way. So just remember as well that our TVs were not that big then. Like a 32-inch was a
32-inch was
telly.
a monster. Absolutely.
So those dots are taking up some real estate. Mind you, the framing around those televisions also quite massive.
Huge.
There was also someone on Reddit suggested that perhaps it was TV3 preparing audiences for the launch of their own TV3 logo, which would soon appear in the corner to get people used to having something there. And look, we just don't know.
Funny. People are
It's
funny.
just so cute to think about this like real tawdry promotion gripping a nation and giving rise to all of these kind of different interpretations.
And yet we don't remember it.
I know. Well, someone out there does. Like, if
Someone does. We're doing this
If you're
for
listening
you.
here and you have a Tellydot,
Oh my God.
or you have a television with residue on it, or you won a Holden Barina in the year 2000,
Or a lovely Club Med
please,
trip.
or a Club Med trip, or 333 recurring $1,000, please get in touch. We need to hear from the Tellydot community out there. Tara Ward, no doubt, has done more digging and has unearthed things. I think she's found the actual guy who invented the technology.
Wow.
So there'll be a scoop to be had there. But that's kind of the story. That's the saga of Tellydots. I mean, have we had anything like it since? Probably just what you're mentioning, Jane, like the on-air code words and things. I know TVNZ On Demand did a thing, I think earlier in the year, where they hid things in certain episodes of shows, and so you just had to like watch all of TVNZ On Demand.
They did. It was
Yeah.
great promotion.
But yeah, I mean, could we ever have it again?
Yes.
No.
Probably.
Still dividing the nation to this day.
Hey, don't forget that if you are enjoying the these old sad people chatting away on the microphones. There's more of that available to you, and that's a terrible ad. On our paid Substack, there's no dots there. You don't have to do anything except for just enjoy the content. Plenty there for free, but even more if you're a paid up subscriber. Go to therealpod.substack.com for the Real Pod Extra and find some bits there. Thank you for joining us.
Merch idea.
Yeah.
Real pod Tellydots.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's great.
Imagine.
Yeah, this is how
Really
it all
good.
starts, by the way. It's just a couple of dummies in a room coming up with a harebrained idea and making it happen across the nation.
Is that the end of our Tellydot journey? Do you think we've made it? Tellydot? Jelly tot?
I feel
Whoa.
very dotted. Yes. Thank you, Alex. That was
We're
a
absolutely
journey.
dotty. Well, thank you, Jane. Thank you, Duncan.
Thank you,
Samuel.
Tara. To be
Yeah,
fair.
big thanks must go to Wayne Lewis for first bringing this to our attention, and the entire award for going through the entire internet to find this information. And thank you all for remembering with us. That's the tagline now,
Yeah.
right?
I know.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, Duncan. From the Spinoff Podcast Network, you've been listening to The Real Pod. Hosted by me, Jane Yee, along with Alex Casey and, most of the time, Duncan Grieve. Our producers are T.I. Butler and Samuel Robinson. Thanks for listening.